Welcome to part 2 and the final episode of my trip to Jamaica. Those of you who haven't seen that video can find it here. But just to recap, I talked about and showed you some of the most interesting places that we passed on our trip to Montego Bay, St. James to tour the Rose Hall Great House. We drove over the flat bridge and talked about some of the horrific accidents that happened there. Then we got stuck behind the Worthy Park cane truck and took the opportunity to talk about it just to pass the time. Then we passed through the Fern Gully, the once riverbed now route to St. Anne. And then we saw the cruise ship, the Carnival Sunrise, and talked about that a little. And finally reaching Rose Hall, I offered up a poem written by me and told the story of Rose Hall as seen through Annie Palmer's eyes and the eyes of Alma Norman, the Jamaican poetess, and her poem, The Curse of Rose Hall. I was proud of that video. Give it a watch. On this channel, This Happened Here, we are dedicated to bringing you true and captivating stories from all over the United States and beyond. Here, I aim to delve deep into the minds of our characters and present these stories from their unique perspectives. So if this seems like something that interests you, subscribe and give the videos a like, if so inclined, that is. And follow me on my social media platforms. The links are in the description below. Also, I would love to hear from you, so drop me a comment. Now walk with me through Devon House as I relay some of the history of what happened there. Oh, by the way, we were only allowed to take photos. No videos were allowed. It was still all good though, because I am your host, LT Barteck. In 1667, King Charles II awarded 600 acres of land to be used by the church, and at the time, Reverend James Zellers was the clergyman there. These 600 acres included what we now know as the area of St. Andrew Parish Church, the northern part of Sandy Gully, and it even went as far as to King's House. Point to note, the King's House is where the Prime Minister's office and the Governor General lives. The Governor General was the Queen, now the King's representative in Jamaica. On the grounds of the King's House, National Heroes Day official ceremony is held, where the Governor General hands out national honors and awards to outstanding citizens. King's House was built in 1762. Now back to Devon House. Reverend Zellers and the St. Andrew Parish Church built the rectory in 1750 in Devon, Penn. It was in use for 128 years. Devon House was built in 1881 by George Steeble. George was the first black Jamaican to become a millionaire. He was of mixed race. George was born in 1821. His parents was Sigismund Steeble, his father, who was a Jew and a German immigrant, and his mother was his father's housekeeper. At the age of 14, he left school and trained as a carpenter. At the age of 19, using the capital his father gave him, he bought first one ship, then two more, and began using them as transport ships between North and South America. He and 3 other black men found a gold mine, giving them an individual income of £80,000 sterling. On instinct, he held on to his share of the gold, unlike his comrades, until later when the mine capitalized for $16 million. He came back to Jamaica and bought 99 properties. He could only buy 99 properties because back then the law stated that one could not purchase 100 properties. His 99 properties included 2 sugar plantations, a wharf at Church Street, Great Salt Pond, a cattle pen at Minard in the St. Anne's Bay district, and the 51 acres he bought from the Anglican Church. On this property, he built Devon House, which cost him £10,000 at the time. The house is made up of red brick and timber in the style of Georgian with a Caribbean flair. George Steeble died in 1896. He was 75 years old. The family lived there until 1923, then sold the house to Reginald Melhado, who had a very profitable business. The Melhado was a Jewish family that was forced out of Portugal and had to take up residence in Jamaica because of the Inquisition. Mr. Melhado purchased 11 acres of the Steeble estate, and the other 40 acres were divided to make the Waterloo and Devon House roads. The Melhado family lived in Devon House for 4 years. Devon House was then sold to Cecil Lindo. The Lindo family lived in Devon House for 15 years. Cecil Lindo was a savvy businessman who purchased J. Ray and Nephew and Money Musk Estate in 1928. After the death of Cecil in 1960, his wife Agnes moved to New York, leaving Devon House to ruins. 5 years later, seeing the property in ruins, investors tried to purchase the property to demolish the house and construct apartments. However, the government stepped in, and Devon House was declared a national monument in 1990 by the then Minister of Jamaica National Heritage Trust, the Honorable Edward Seaga, who later became the leader of the Jamaican Labour Party and the former Prime Minister of Jamaica. In 2011, Devon House was named the 4th best place to enjoy ice cream in the world. I know that for sure because that rum and raisin ice cream was something to talk about. It was so good. In 2017, Devon House was chosen to be the first gastronomy center by Honorable Edmund Bartlett, the then Minister of Tourism. I had to Google that one. Gastronomy, per Google, is the study of the relationship between food and culture, the art of preparing and serving rich or delicate and appetizing food, the cooking styles of particular regions, and the science of good eating. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Like this guy, while doing some research on Devon House, I came across this video on the Jamaica Food Boss channel where he interviewed one of the shops on the Devon House property. It was a pizzeria, but like most of the Jamaican food, it is a fusion of different cultures. This fusion is of Italy and Jamaica. The pizza is made with the base of Italy and the toppings of Jamaica, like the callaloo and ackee toppings on one side and jerk chicken topping on the other. That looks so good. Wish I had known that was there when I had visited. I can testify that even the Chinese food in Jamaica is something awesome. I have always loved and can only find shrimp sui mein in Jamaica. Why? Because it was something the Chinese immigrant invented in Jamaica. While I was there this time, I became hooked on curried shrimp and sweet and sour pork, and not to mention, but I will, the Full House lo mein. We drove down to Halfway Tree, and I will tell you a little about it. One, if you are not an avid driver, you will be very scared to drive there. Amongst these taxi drivers, they do not consider any laws of the road. Anyway, Halfway Tree, formerly known as Halfway Tree Pen, is recognized as the capital of St. Andrew in Jamaica. The Hodgkins family held ownership of the area for a span of 130 years. with Robert Hodgkin serving as the Attorney General of Jamaica in 1707. According to historians, the name halfway tree originated from a colossal cotton tree that stood at the crossroads of four roads in close proximity to the parish church. Travelers en route from the western parishes of Jamaica to Kingston or further east often halted at this junction for rest or refreshment at a nearby tavern, hence the name Halfway Tree. This ancient cotton tree is believed to have existed long before the British took over of the island in 1655. A clock tower situated at the heart of Halfway Tree was constructed as a tribute to King Edward VII of England. Afterwards, our attention turned to the Bank of Jamaica, BOJ, at Nethersole Place in downtown Kingston, right on the waterfront, established under the Bank of Jamaica Act 1960. The BOJ commenced operation on May 1st, 1961. Its primary responsibility is the implementation of Jamaica's monetary policy, following the directives of the Minister of Finance. Before the Spanish colonization of Jamaica in the early 16th century, there was little need for a standardized currency. While the island possessed a small amount of gold, the Taino Indians, its original inhabitants, primarily used it for ornamental purposes rather than for trade, which was conducted through bartering. Upon the arrival of the Spaniards with Columbus in 1494, they utilized various items like glass, beads, trinkets, scissors, and mirrors as the initial means of exchange in their interactions with the Tainos. Jamaican banknotes are issued in denominations of $50, $100, $500, $1,000, and $5,000. These notes share a uniform size of 145 by 68 millimeters. Each note features a distinct watermark displaying the portrait associated with that particular denomination. Special symbols designed for the visually impaired are present on the front of all notes except the $1,000 and $5,000 bills. The front side of each note showcases the portrait of a Jamaican national hero or a former prime minister, while the backside depicts local scenes and popular landmarks. On our way from the Bank of Jamaica to St. Catherine, we passed by Petrojam Limited. Petrojam Limited is Jamaica's only petroleum refinery. They have been in business of producing petroleum for Jamaica for over 38 years. They not only supply the local market, but have also exported petroleum products as well. Out of curiosity, we wanted to see what Kingston Wharf Limited was about, and this is what I found out. In 1945, Louis Fred Kennedy of the Grace Kennedy and Company Limited, Charles Edwards Johnson, and Captain Cybrant List, the founders of Jamaica Fruit and Shipping, were three of the group of men who found this new port company known as Kingston Wharf. The company was incorporated with an authorized capital of £249,000. Kingston Wharf boasts that they facilitate more than 30 ports around the world. In 2019, the company reported assets of US $206 million and revenue of Jamaican $7.9 billion. Doing quite well, I see. As we passed the KFC in Portmore, St. Catherine, I thought, let me look up some facts, because I remember some years ago this was once the busiest KFC in the world. But I was surprised to see on the internet that the estimated total pay for a team member at KFC is Jamaican $13,500 per month, which is less than $100. I was shocked. Y'all need to tell me if this is true. Before going home, we went over to Caymanas Park, especially seeing it wasn't a race day, to look around. Again, it is the only horse racing track in Jamaica. Here are some facts about Caymanas Park. The racetrack was built in 1959 on land that was formerly a sugar estate. Bartholomew Vicens Oliver designed it for then owner Alexander Hamilton, but ownership changed hands quite a few times until 1975, when the government finally took over its operations. During a time when horse racing was not profitable, the government subsidized the industry and appointed Danny Melville as chairman in 1989. Under his leadership and with the assistance of Chris Armand, improvements were made, including the installation of a multi-billion-dollar totalizator system, which means the bet winnings are paid out minus tax and administration fees, and the implementation of the claiming system, which means all horses in the race can be betted on. These new systems added different race types and exotic bets. These advancements led to the expansion of computerized off-track betting parlors and a flourishing horse racing industry. In March 1991, Caymanas Track Limited introduced simulcast racing from Florida through an auto-visual microwave network, enhancing the racing experience. Over time, they expanded the simulcasting to include locations such as New York, California, Arizona, Philadelphia, and other North American regions. Their efforts also extended to Britain in 1994 and Australia in 2000, although the latter expansion did not yield the desired success. In March 2017, Caymanas Park's management was taken over by Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment Limited. 3 miles from Old Harbour proper is the Old Harbour Fishing Village. It is one of the largest fishing villages in Jamaica. I was taken there by a dear friend whom I will call Dee. Thinking about how to tell you about this place, I say just this place because there is no words to describe it. More often than not, I go into a character from the place of interest and try to tell their story. But this time, I will share with you the story of Old Harbour Bay through my eyes and hope that you think of it as I did. A very, very interesting place. My phone rang. I looked down at it, laying beside me on the couch. It was my friend Dee. I picked it up, happy to hear from her. "Hey Dee, what's up?" I said. "Girl, have you ever had roast fish and roast bulla at Old Harbour Bay?" she said after our brief catch-up. I didn't need to think about this. The answer was no. But then something dawned on me. "Roast bulla?" I said with both shock and awe. "Yes, girl, roast bulla. And I'm not even going to tell you much about it. You have to experience it for yourself," she said, as excited to introduce me to these dishes as I was to get into it. She promised to come get me, and almost as fast as Usain Bolt, I ran to the bathroom to clean up and get ready. I had not seen Dee in over 16 years, and it was a joy when we hugged and laughed, happy to see each other. She extended the invitation to my sister, and off we went. On the way, she kept us laughing in her usual fashion as she told us stories, catching us up on what had been going on while I was away, and it was as if I never left. Side note, isn't it strange that even though you are far away and sometimes fall off with communicating with a dear friend like 16 years, then when we get together, it seems like no time has passed? That was what it was like for Dee and me. Anyway, we drove through the unpaved roads to Old Harbour Bay, and the moment we entered the bay area, there were vendors sitting behind their stalls filled with freshly caught fish like parrots, silverfish, doctorfish. She had to push the car through the haggling vendors who were up walking beside the car trying to make a sale. We parked a few feet from them at the tiny little shack where we would be eating, and there was a stress-free our cook roasting our fish on his little cold stove. Excitement filled my belly as I saw doctor fish and other fishes I was not familiar with, but was happy to sink my teeth into. Then we met Randall. Here is Randall.
Hard working fisherman. Party. You got yourself anywhere. Ronald Blair by Instagram. And your son, Randall Langer Christopher Blair. The world will say.
The food was not ready, so we were taken for a walk around the place as Dee reminded me that y'all were with me and would like to see the place as well. So we walked the length of the fishing village, and I could not hold back the smiles as I watched the simple joy of the people around us as they danced and listened to some oldies but goodies from the mixer at his turntable. Though one can see that there is poverty here, these people are still rich in contentment and joy. They don't dwell on their situation. They take what they are given and take whatever joy they can make of it. There was a strong lesson here, and I took it all in. Be happy with what you have and find joy in every situation. Some of you watching this video who have more and are still unsatisfied should think about changing your attitude, as I did. Dee then took us over to see the beach side of the bay. It was serene as most people had left the beach for the day, and we stood in the soft, warm glow of the fading sun while she regaled us once again with stories of the crocodiles that lives in the mangrove.
Crocodile lives in the mangroves, and they would come out, but not all of them at once. What they do is come one at a time, and they move from the mangrove and they go over to the pier, wait on things to eat, get what they need, and then move back over to the mangrove. Okay. Have anybody been eaten? Not by the crocodiles. We caught one the other day, and when the authorities came and picked him up, but I don't think that they caught the others.
Was this on TV?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was a very big one, and I don't think that was a mother or the father. I think that was one of the children. Okay.
As soon as the fish and bullock came, we were all up in it, and it was so good, especially the sauce that came with it. We even had an uninvited guest who was a little tipsy, but he turned out to be just a little laugh and entertainment that made the experience more memorable. As the evening darkened, we left and headed home with full bellies and happy hearts. I needed to see that other side of Jamaica, one off the beaten path, and be reminded that you don't need much to have a good time. I am very grateful to my friend and hope I can return the favor someday. Thanks again, Dee. All in all, my trip to Jamaica was a good one. I learned and was reminded of many things, and I also want to thank my brother who took time off from work to take me to Montego Bay. Thanks, little bro. The flight back was packed and I didn't enjoy it as much as the flight to Jamaica, but I soon reached home and landed safely and was extremely happy to be home. I hope my next trip away from the US is to another happening place, and be sure I'll be taking you along with me. Clicking the subscribe icon is the only way to get your ticket to be there, so do that now. Well, that is that, folks. As my grandfather, the fisherman/gardener, would say. Remember to click the thumbs up aka like button on this video. Don't forget to check out my books on Amazon and join me on my social media platforms. Remember to love yourself and others, and I will catch you on my next weekly video. That one is going to be scary, is all I can say about that. Anyway, catch you next time. Love you. Bye.